Nicolette, welcome back and pleasure to see you again.
It's great. Thank you very much for having me once again.
Nicolette, last time we got to know you with a few short questions, but let's dive a little deeper this time. Last time you had mentioned that finding balance is hard, almost impossible, as you said. What's one skill you believe is essential for succeeding in the financial world and balancing everything that comes with it?
I think managing your emotions is very important. I remember when I was still starting out, there's a phrase that I used to use, which was financial emotional intelligence. Understanding that your emotions are going to play a very big role in how you make decisions when it comes to your finances. So for me, knowledge sometimes goes out the window when emotions are very high, right? So I think if you can find either strategies to be able to do that, or you yourself kind of take on those types of skills to be able to manage yourself. And I'll give you a very simple example. We in South Africa, we've got a very weird thing. From September to December, it's called festive season. The whole 3 months is festive season. And often people pretend or act like they don't know the festive season is coming. And I'm like, it's a 12-month cycle. It's gonna come. But somehow we overspend and then we justify it by saying, but it's December. You know what I mean? And that for me is people who are unable to pick up on their biases, people who are unable to pick up on their emotion, and unfortunately make certain decisions based on those. So I would definitely say if you can develop that skill, you would do yourself a huge favor.
But when we say managing emotions, it's such a broad topic. So let's talk specific emotions. Like what?
I think greed, being gullible. I think fear is a big one. People often, when the markets go down or the markets are doing what markets are supposed to be doing, people often panic, right? And I always say whether it's trading, whether it's investing, you only start to realize the loss when you start making those types of decisions, right? I think another emotion sometimes is happiness. I mean, yeah, you are happy, so you want to be. We call it mureki. So Mureki is a big spender. And we always say, remember, there's those money types, money personalities. And one of them is a person who spends without thinking. Sometimes dopamine makes people spend. Sometimes people are excited being able to know who you are. I have a funny thing, and I'll tell you a story. I've got this funny thing. If we're sitting at a dinner table and the bill comes and then people start to tick off what they ate, I get shy. That whole process makes me feel
Yep.
embarrassed. So then I often say, no, guys, don't worry, I'll take the bill.
I'm the same.
Yeah, you see that. So I think everybody has their own thing. Everybody has that emotion. Some people it's shame. Some people it's guilt. So I think you're very spot on by saying it's quite broad. And I often say to people, if you want to solve your money problems, go see a psychologist. Go have a conversation and figure out where your blind spots are.
How do you keep your composure and stick to your plan during challenges or market volatility?
I remind myself that there's risk in everything. Everything, whether you are trading, whether you are investing, even when you are doing simple trades on a day-to-day, if you're selling a fat cook on the side, and I use fat cook because it's quite a big thing in South Africa, there can be that day, and I give you a very example, we've got these mamas, right? It's women who sit at the corner and they sell fat cakes. I don't know what you call them in your side of the world. If it rains, that's a risk. Chances are you're not going to have a lot of buyers because people are definitely not walking to work. They're not walking to school. They're being driven. So they're going to pass you, right? So using that simple example, you then also need to be able to realize when those market conditions could exist in the trades that you are taking. So you do know that actually these things might potentially then sway what direction the currencies are going to go into, the stock, the CFDs, the indices that you are going to be trading, cryptocurrency, right? So I think it's important to be able to identify beforehand what the likelihood, what is the pattern that I'm looking at here that could potentially then influence whatever position I am taking. I think that's really important.
So identifying the risks beforehand.
Absolutely.
Potential landmines.
The best thing in finance is to try and be able to predict the what ifs, the probabilities. What can possibly happen? And am I prepared for the risk that I'm taking? What's that saying? High risk, high return. I always say to people, you're saying it incorrectly. It's high risk, high potential return. Yes, we want
Potential
to incentivize the risk that you are taking. However, it is important for you to understand what it is that you are going into and be able to predict what the result could potentially be.
And when you said trading blindly, I mean, we see it too frequently. I mean, these same people, they won't walk across the street blindfolded, but they'll go into a trade not knowing anything or just based on an opinion or a bias, as you said.
Yes.
Okay, Nicolette, if you could start over, what's one thing you'd approach differently in your financial career?
I wouldn't invest so much money in property. I think, look, in most markets, property is one of those asset classes that is touted as being the holy grail, you know? And I think because banks are also willing to give you the financing backing if you are going to take out a loan for a home, it's often seen as the thing that everybody must go into. But I've seen even with myself where I have properties that do not actually have a good return on them. And I'm holding on to them because I've been socialized into this idea that this is the best asset to hold. So yeah, I think if I could start over, and you're probably thinking in your head, you can still have a start over. Why are you not selling them? And I don't know. It's again, it's my emotions that are holding on to the property as an asset. So I think that's what I would like to reset.
When with your financial education, I mean, do you cover these things? Do you go into this type of understanding this debt issue and helping people kind of navigate their current situations to change tomorrow? What do you focus on?
Yeah, look, I focus quite a lot on credit education because we do have a debt issue in South Africa. So I focus a lot on credit education. I focus a lot on how to buy a house well, how to buy a car well. We do a lot of stuff on discretionary investing. But also, you will be very surprised that a lot of South African companies it's not an enforced law in South Africa, but it's mandatory for most of our companies to offer some level of employee benefits. But even with the employee benefits that our people sit with, they don't know them. They don't know what the benefits are. So if somebody's got deductions on their payslip for medical aid, they've got a deduction for a pension fund, a group life, but they don't know what they actually have. So they don't understand the actual product that they've got. So on one hand, you almost having to deal with that. And then what I also noticed about South Africans in looking at how they consume my content. So the platform that I use to the Red platform that I use to be able to put out that kind of content, my content is not viral content. It's not exciting. So it's not viral content. It's what I call evergreen content, right? So a person won't listen to a conversation. I'll give you a very simple. I did a video the one time on trading a car in. If Nima is not trading a car in, he does not care about that video. He will only come to watch that video. Either one, he's already made the mistake. He will watch that video, or maybe if he is not going to be in that space. And to be fair, Nima, personal finance is huge. It's a lot of stuff that one needs to cover. It's overwhelming. So I do understand that people will only come to specific content when they're looking for it. You'll be very surprised though. Or one of my videos that is most watched is how to actually make money in Forex trading. So we've got a huge appetite for that kind of content. We've got a huge appetite in South Africa for how do I trade correctly? What must I look for when I'm trading?
Why do you think that? Okay, obviously we know the Forex trading is super popular in South Africa. It's growing, it's expanding, but what do you think are the primary goals for the South Africa trader? What are they looking to do? What are they looking to get from the Forex market?
I would say it's threefold, right? Because I've had the opportunity to speak to, I would say, three different types of people who do trade. And let's start off with the elephant in the room, which is the big one. Some of our Forex traders are very flashy. So they've got a lifestyle that's going, right?
That's what they're selling, actually, not the education.
Yes.
It's the car and the...
Oh, listen, I went to an event the one time. I even felt like I was like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed to be here. I didn't have the right car. I didn't have the right clothes, So there's a lifestyle that some of our traders in South Africa are pushing and making it very incentivizing why one would want to be in Forex trading. The problem is they then want to trade for you. So you don't become the trader. They're not teaching you how to trade. They're teaching you to rely on them, right? With tactics like copy trading, or they send out what they deem as signals or trading ideas, right? Then you've got a trader who is looking to make the quick buck. So they're almost dangerous. I always say a desperate trader is a dangerous trader because they think it's a get-rich-quick scheme, right? And I always say to them, go and speak to traders that sit in the banks. Because if you could make such quick money that quickly without taking up a risk, don't you think that traders from the bank would do this on their own and they would make billions of money? Then you've got the trader that really wants to trade. They're looking for the basic information. They're looking for somebody to hold their hand and step by step. So, and though if you look at that video that I did, most of the comments is, I wish there was somebody who could hold my hand so I can do this. Because they understand the fundamentals of trading. They understand where it fits into their income strategy, right? So it's, I'm trying to increase my income streams. So we've also got a very big movement called multiple streams of income in South Africa. So obviously people are looking for a secondary income stream or a third income stream that is not going to take too much time, right? So they then go into trading. Then only when they're inside, they realize that I actually have a knowledge gap. I actually need to go back a couple of steps back and so that I can become an actual expert trader. So I think those are the different types of traders that you find, or at least an audience around that type of content.
So when it comes to education, I'll see that the guy who's doing his marketing with the flashy car and the flashy clothes and the watches, he'll get more following and more attention than the guy who's like the professor who's been trading for 20 years. And so how do we address this kind of shortcoming and a knowledge gap? Because still the flash is what's selling, but ultimately that's not what's actually helping people.
It's a momentous task, and you almost, as a trading platform, have to put in concerted effort to try and fight against it. But because at the end of the day, you're going to have that flashy trader. But I think what needs to happen is an expose of what are they actually selling. Are they selling skill, or are they selling these very ridiculously expensive courses that have no backing from any institution in the country? Are they selling the lifestyle because they want to trade for you? So we almost have to go and find what is their strategy and dismantle the strategy. We need the trading platforms, the legit, registered, licensed trading platforms, to speak about if someone is offering you copy trading without the right licensing, they are trying to scam you. If someone is offering you signals without the right, because signals are basically at the fundamental level financial advice. It's a recommendation and a direction and a guide to say, do this.
Enter and exit at this time. Man.
Absolutely, right? If someone is doing that without the licensing, they are giving you financial advice, they are going to get you into trouble. If someone doesn't have an office, so it's literally finding those little gaps that people need. I mean, trading for you. Why am someone trading for me
or
without license?
Not trading with the broker, but not depositing your funds with the broker.
Yes,
this for me is the
into
killer.
my personal account. And I always say to people, please, if you're watching this podcast, let us also just apply some thinking. You can't allow yourself to be that gullible. And that's why I was saying, as in the previous episode, that it is important that you have the right mindset. You are in a good space when you're going to move into trading, because we know the market is volatile. So the risk that you are taking can either potentially be incentivized, or you are going to have to take the loss, and you must be okay with it. So you need to be in the right frame of mind so that you are not blinded by the shiny cars and everything, so that you literally, you must dismantle this person who's promising you all of these things. Think about it. If I, as Nicolette, say to you, I can double your money in an hour, why am I not doubling my own money? Why do I need your money to double? You get what I'm saying? Because if I promise you and I say I'm doubling, trust, for you to get that profit, someone else is taking the beating. Someone else is taking a loss. And what they're going to do is they're going to lure you in. The first 1,000, they'll double it. The second 1,000, they'll double it. Then next time, what happens to you? Greed. Now you say, actually, Nima, don't you want to double my 10,000? That's when you take the loss then. Then they say, but remember, we told you that you can potentially take a loss. Now you're in the red. So I do think that if large companies like yours could really put out that it's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable to speak about scamming within Forex, right? Because it's not what you want to speak about. You want to speak about your platform, its great features, and that is important. But I do think that if you start going head on and really breaking down these guys that are just flashing, it will really start changing the mindset. Some it will, some it won't. Look, there are some people that you just can't lead.
Speaking of platform features, so for in your opinion, from a South Africa trader context, do you find that access to quick withdrawals is more important, or platform efficiency and execution of trades is more important for the South Africa trader?
It depends. Again, depends on the type of trader. If I am trying it out and I go in, make a position, and I actually get a profit, and then I'm trying to withdraw, and then there's problems. Now you guys are asking me to verify myself again. You're asking me 20 other questions. Then you say to me, yeah, but you went in a dollar, in a you can only withdraw with a certain currency. Then now it's like, because that's where I start feeling uneasy. But if I am a trader that is an expert trader or is somebody that understands the fundamentals of trading, I need efficiency. The first conversation we spoke about, you spoke about quick executions. I need to know that if I am trading a position of, let's say, indices or stocks, I need to know that it can be quick at that market rate there. It must be quick for me to be able to go into that position and really get out of it as quickly as possible, right? So efficiency is also important to me. So I do think that it will depend on what type of a trader you are dealing with, and is it a trader that you're still needing to build rapport and trust with? That's the person who needs to be able to go in and go out quickly with their deposits and their withdrawals. But somebody who trusts you, somebody who's has a little bit of experience on your platform, wants the quicker executions. They want the market execution. They want, the trust, the knowing I can pick up the phone and call. They probably have their key accounts manager as a contact on their phone.
Do you feel that having a trust in a broker in their product and their platforms, do you think that impacts people's decision-making ability or impacts their strategy?
Absolutely. Like, please don't make your platform difficult to understand. Like, there's a specific crypto platform I'm thinking about that is, listen, me as Nicolette, even when I log into it, I get dizzy because I'm like, why all this information? I don't need all of this information. Move with me at my expertise level, right? There's always going to be a beginner with everything. There's always going to be someone who's an intermediate and then someone who's going to be an expert. Allow us to graduate into those positions, and then the dashboard must change as I'm also changing. Because if you give me a platform that is just complicated from the beginning, I'm overwhelmed, I'm disinterested, right? But also the simple touch points, for instance, like, if you're going to be a trading platform, don't just be a trading platform. There must be a place where, because if I'm genuinely interested in trading, whether I'm trading Forex, whether I'm trading crypto, whether I'm trading your indices or CFDs, please make sure as a platform that you are top of the of breaking news. I must know what's happening. So your platform needs to be one-stop shop for all the news about finance, right? At the same time, share wellness information. So it can't just be about, trading only. Talk to me about this month. Did you budget your trading in to your budget? A budget is important. You've got to keep a budget. Stop loss. Why a stop loss is an important strategy to have. So it must feel like, and I always say this, I don't want trading to be a stepchild to finance, because it's not. It's part of it. It's part of the family. So people must feel comfortable to say, I am a trader. Somebody must be okay to say, I'm a full-time trader. This is what I do, without having all the other reputation that comes with it, or having the conversation. Like, now you must have difficult conversations, right? So for me, the only way to do that is to make it a part of a holistic conversation.
It's a good point, and I don't think that that's hasn't been done, in this industry yet. It hasn't been done yet, and it's quite interesting. So, from your experience, if I'm new to the markets, I'm new to trading, what is the first thing you're going to tell me to do, or first thing to look for in making a decision whether I want to trade? What would be your first step that you would advise me if I was new?
Try and explain to a 6-year-old how you make money. Because if you can't explain to a 6-year-old, you don't know yourself. And I promise you, Nima, 8 out of 10 people in my country specifically and they can come for me after this. I don't mind. Cannot explain how they make their money, whether they're trading, whether they invest. Some people don't even know what they're investing in. If you ask them, this fund that you're investing in, what is the underlying asset? They don't know. If you ask them which currency pairs are you trading, they don't know. They just know that I'm trading. You say, okay, at the very least, if you can explain to a 6-year-old how what you are doing makes you money and how it can lose you money, then you know what you're doing.
All right, Nicolette, look, so as we wrap up, what's one lesson you've learned from your journey in the financial world that you believe resonates universally, regardless of whether someone is a trader, investor, or entrepreneur?
Risk.
Risk. You said, wait, keep on saying it. Let's go deeper.
Yes. It is important to accept risk and to understand who you are. One of my biggest examples I always use, I'm 36 years old. I've got no cat. I have no dog. I have no child. What I do with my trading, my investing, what I buy, what I don't buy will never look the same to my peer who may have 2 or 3 kids. Because we both have a different risk appetite. If I die, I'm gone. If she dies, she's got 2 kids that are left. So it's important to understand your risk appetite, to understand your risk profile. Because sometimes your risk profile is not by, it's not by choosing, it's by circumstance, right? I often say a lot of women are, in my country, a lot of you find that we have a huge amount of single parents, and it's usually women. They are primary caregivers. So their investment and trading strategy is going to look very different because they are cautious, right? So it's important to understand your risk. And I think my parting shot with the risk conversation is that at the end of the day, personal finance is not group work. It is personal finance for a reason. You have to look at your own circumstances. You have to look at your own availability of funds. You have to look at your own timing of when you need to make this profit. You have to look at tax efficiency. So there's a lot. I mean, people don't realize that the money they make, even from trading, is going to be taxed. Like, it's going to be part, when SARS is going to look at your income, they're going to be like, oh, but you made money here. So how are you declaring this now? And they're going to, you're going to find yourself having to make a repayment to them. So all of those factors, whether you're trading, whether you're investing, they are going to be individually assessed for self because it's not group work.
So first step is to identify my risk appetite.
Absolutely.
The risk appetite can be more than just how much I'm willing to, let's say, risk of my investment.
Yes.
Tell me what to dig deeper into me identifying my risk appetite. What else could that mean?
Okay, so your risk appetite, I think the biggest thing is, do you understand the risk that you are taking? This asset class that you're going into, this instrument that you're wanting to trade or invest, do you actually understand how it behaves in different types of market conditions? The second one is, are you actually trading or investing with money you are okay with losing? Because if you are going to my mother who turned 60, who just got her retirement money, and now you're getting my mother to take her entire retirement money and she's throwing it into an investment or she's throwing it into trading, she cannot afford to lose that money. She doesn't know how long she's going to live for. She needs that money to be in probably the most conservative asset class or instrument, right? So understanding whether or not you are able to lose this money or not is very important. And then last but not least, budget for it. Budget for the risk that you're willing to take. If you know that the risk you're willing to take is a 5,000 Rand, even when you are leveraging and the platform allows you to leverage way past what you have, remind yourself that that is not something that is conceivable for me. So I'm not going to allow greed to take me to the other side. So again, it's about going back to having that risk mitigation strategy. Do I have the correct stop losses put in place? Am I not taking too much leverage that I do not actually need, right? Or rather can afford. So it's about looking at yourself and saying, have I budgeted for the risk that I'm willing to take?
Have you ever met somebody through your experience that was born with these skill sets already in place? They understood risk management. They understood what you just told me. They didn't need to learn it. They just kind of had it inherently.
Look, yes, I think there are some people who are intuitive, right? They kind of get these things far better than the rest of us, right? But we all get caught sometimes. You know, everybody, all of us. I mean, we all take a chance sometimes where you think, I actually know this. I got this. I got this. I know this. I understand this. And then it doesn't go your way. And those mistakes are often the lessons. And I always say to a lot of young people who want to trade, speak to people who are willing to tell you about their mistakes. Speak to people who are willing to tell you about the trading losses that they've had to take. Because those people are telling you the truth, one, but secondly, they sharpen. They're ones who are going to help you sharpen because that if anyone, I mean, if you ask me a question of what would be the first person that I tell somebody who wants to trade, eh, maybe I want to change my answer even to you're gonna make a loss. And you must be okay with it. Because to make the big wins, you must take a couple of losses also.
Thank you, Nicolette, for sharing your insights. It's been amazing and an absolute pleasure to have you.